to another episode of Conversation with a Chef. I'm Jo Ritty, and I love sharing with you the conversations I get to have with talented and passionate chefs. It's the backstory, if you will, to the food they're putting up. I begin today by acknowledging the Māori tribes of Aotearoa, North Island, where my guest is, as well as the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, traditional custodians of the lands and airwaves where my part of the conversation took place. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. Today I'm talking to Lucas Parkinson. In 2017, chef and owner Lucas Parkinson established Ode Conscious Dining in Wanaka, Aotearoa, after spending over a decade developing his skill and passion for food in Aotearoa and overseas. Lucas quickly gained recognition after Ode was named one of New Zealand's top 100 restaurants at both the 2018 and 2019 Cuisine Good Food Awards, receiving the One to Watch and One Hat accolades, the Southern Hemisphere equivalent of one Michelin star. Committed to influencing ethical food decisions within Aotearoa, he's been called Aotearoa's most sustainable chef. When Lucas messaged me and wondered whether I'd like to hear his story, I jumped at the chance. This is a story of very high highs and extremely low lows. At the height of Ode's success, the restaurant burned down, and then, once he'd painstakingly built up the business again, lockdown after lockdown in New Zealand and the fallout from those forced Lucas's hand again. Lucas was so honest and so generous with what he shared with me, and I think that this is probably one of the most important conversations I've had about mental health, as well as what it means to succeed and survive in the hospitality industry. Hi Lucas, how are you?
Good, thanks, Jo. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Thanks for getting in touch with me. I've been doing a bit of investigation and you've got a pretty interesting story.
Yeah.
So, Lucas, where are you right now? Obviously in Aotearoa.
Yeah, I've moved back to my home city of Auckland and I lived out in the beautiful native forest of Tirangi.
Wow. Yeah, I'm from Ōtautahi, Christchurch, and there's always been a rivalry between the North Island and the South Island, but I know that what you're talking about where you live now is very beautiful, so...
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Let's start perhaps at the beginning, because I always like to know a chef's journey, and I was reading a little bit about you this morning and was interested to see that you start off as a panel beater but then found your way into a pizzeria, and from there you've kept going. So can you tell me what brought you into hospitality?
I was actually in trouble in a bad way with some worse people in the city. My family shipped me off to Italy for 3 months to keep me safe. And then when I came back, it still wasn't quite safe. So then they sent me down to Ohakuni, where we had a batch. And I'd done the winter there, snowboarding. My first day there was a place called Italian Cafe. And I'm half Italian. And I walked in and said, I'm half Italian. Do you have any jobs? And old chef I think he was about 64 or 65 at the time, the head chef there, said, yep, can you make pizzas? And I was like, yeah, of course I can make pizzas. And I didn't really know how to make pizzas, but and he gave me the job, and it clicked, it flew, it was great. I had a good time snowboarding, came back for a second season, and after the second season, my father asked, well, are you still going to be a panel beater? Nah, I'm not going back to that. He goes, well, have you thought about training as a chef? What do you do? He goes, well, sure, you can go to school for it. So we looked it up, and there was Auckland Hotel and Chef Training School, and I applied, and I got in. And that's really where it kicked off. I got there, and I had a great tutor called Peter Cartwright, and he really fueled that passion in me. And it's the first time in my schooling history that I was deeply interested and I studied, and I really, really wanted to pass, turn up every day on time, and I just fully got into it. And then I ended up finishing top of my class, had to go for an internship, and I walked down the road from my flat where I was living, and there was a restaurant called Taboo, run by a chef called Ben Convery and his ex-partner Rebecca. walked in and said, I'll work for free for a few weeks. I got to pass my internship, and he had that gleam in his eye. Free workers, yes, please. And I got my job, and on my first night there, I realized that being the top student in the school meant basically nothing in a real kitchen. I got screamed at, yelled at, had a broom thrown at me.
Yeah.
It was intense, but I on the first night, I saw a perfectly square potato gratin go up on the part, and something in my mind just clicked. And I was, wow, look at that shape, look how beautiful it is, look at how amazing that one thing is. And then I was, over the following weeks, I was just looking around the kitchen. I quickly got demoted to kitchen hand. And I just loved the camaraderie of it, even though he was pretty much a psychopathic chef who was super old school. You know, you do it his way, you fuck it up, he's going to go nuts. And I definitely had that. But I liked the discipline. I liked the camaraderie. I really liked the organization, how 5 chefs each had one component from a dish, and they'd all come up together at the same time. And it was like watching a choreographed dance just going well, and the buzz of the night where the chefs wouldn't yell and everything went well. You just felt on cloud 9. I felt on cloud 9.
Yeah.
So I stayed on got moved up to commie chef and stayed there for a while. And then the snow bug kicked in again, and I went back down to Oakuni and got a job at the Powderhorn Chateau as a commie chef. And that was great. I had a great time. I met my, now ex-partner. But, I done the season there, and I had a good friend from America, and he was always saying, come over to America. So I packed my bags, and I had an American grandfather-in-law, and he was passed by then. But I went over thinking I could get a green card because of my grandfather, which legally I could. And I got there, and I got a job in a massive grill house, a big smoke house that does smoked meat and barbecue. And it was like nothing I've seen before. 5 or 6 line chefs out the front, 5 or 6 prep chefs out the back that served between 1,000 and 1,300 people a night. And it was just insane. First night I got put on meats on the grill. The grill was 8. The grill and the hot pan was 8 feet long. I swear there was an angel on my shoulder that night, because he said, look, the head chef said, look, you jump on there if you can do it. Sweet as, if it's too much for you, we'll have a beer and you can go your own way. And I caned it. It was perfect. Every single steak, every single burger. And he was just like, wow, I'll give you a pay rise. You can go on $10 an hour. And yeah, I got that job. And then I went for my green card. And the lawyer said, yeah, of course. Just get your grandfather to sign here and your green card will get sent to you. And I kind of made the mistake, I guess, of saying, oh, he's dead. He said, well, do you have any other, nuclear or immediate family? I said, no, he was the only one. He said, well, if he can't sign it, then you can't get it. Oh, shit. What am I going to do? I went back and told my work, and they said, that's all right. You've just crossed the border like half the other kitchen members. And that's what I got. I just worked for cash for a while there, went snowboarding, and I don't know if I should print that, but but yeah, I worked in America doing that. That was great. Came back from New Zealand, back to the Powderhorn Chateau for a winter because it was 2008. We were in a recession. I just had to get a job somewhere, and there wasn't a hell of a lot of jobs around. And I liked it. I went back, got back with my girlfriend there. At the end of the season, I applied for a job at a place called Pure in Herne Bay with Stefan Leutzer. He was a young Michelin star chef from Switzerland. And I got the job there as a chef de partie, and that was amazing. He ran a 35-seat restaurant off 2 chefs, 2 front of house, and a kitchen hand. That's the first time I really saw a small restaurant that could make money, ran efficiently. It ran like a Swiss watch, so extremely precise, and he was so extremely calm about everything. He would not yell, he would not lift his voice. If I really pissed him off enough, which I'm adept at times, he just wouldn't talk to me for a few days.
Yep.
but I really learned so much there. Halfway through there, about 7 or 8 months in, I was 22 and I got my girlfriend pregnant. And we go to the doctors, we find out that she's 3 months pregnant and there's no turning back. So I said, well, this is us, we're having a kid. And that's my daughter Tiger Lily, who's with me now, she's 12.
Wow.
And I said, look, I'm not going to survive on $30,000 here in New Zealand. I can't get ahead. And I was always this really independent guy. I didn't want to ask my family for money or help or anything. I really wanted to do it on my own, which in retrospect was pretty stupid. I should have stayed around as much family as possible with my daughter on the way instead of going to a country I didn't know and you know in it. But hey, we do these things. So I finished my year at Pure and then headed off to Australia for double the money.
Right.
Got a job with Sean Connolly at Sean's Kitchen. Not that Sean was really there at all, ever. But Tony Gibson was our head chef, and he was one of the young Gordon Ramsay boys who got trained by him and deployed around the world. And there I just learnt high-end cooking with velocity. It was insane. The Star Casino at Sean's Kitchen was $150 for lunch, $350 covers for dinner, 11 entire dishes on my station. It was insane. I'd worked 90-hour weeks, no days off. I actually had a heart attack there 2 weeks before my daughter was born.
What? Wow.
Yeah, they found me in bed, bleeding out of every hole, convulsing, hyperventilating.
Yeah.
And I got taken to hospital, and I was gone. And then I collapsed at the hospital, and then I just remember waking up with IVs in my arm, and the doctor saying, you've had a severe type of clinical burnout where all of your nutrients in your body and minerals have depleted so much that your body just couldn't cope anymore.
Yeah.
And you had basically been running off adrenaline and caffeine, and that's what we found prevalent in your system. Oh shit, okay. So I was on there for 3 days and I was back to work. And 2 weeks later my daughter was born, and the casino just did not care about a human being as a whole, trying to cut my parental leave short, bring me in early, and I just said, stuff this. I need to go work for a human again. So all in all, I'd done almost a year at the casino. Great learning experience, and I made really good friends under fire there, who I'm still good friends with today. Would I do it again? Definitely not. Would I recommend it for young chefs? No, but I would recommend working in very busy places where you learn high quality food at velocity, just maybe not in a casino or a place where you're just a number to them.
Well, I think it was interesting. I was reading something you said in a Stuff article about those kinds of conditions and being yelled at and being in those very stressful conditions. And you talked about how, you know, your philosophy or your approach is that however, whatever the atmosphere of the kitchen, it's probably reflected in the food. And I've always believe that as well. There's a book called like Water for Chocolate, and it's about this chef that whatever she cooks, her emotions at the time go into the food and the people eat it, and also have those emotions. And so I think that's a really interesting idea, and I'd like to think that things are changing now in the industry, but I know there are still lots of places where people would have the same experience as you at that time.
Of course. And I think there's always going to be a percentage of that. Side note, like Water for Chocolate is amazing. I've read the book.
Yeah.
But by and large, the industry is changing. People are changing. Staff shortages are also making employers treat people better and more fairly. You know, you work out my career, and I worked over 40% of my career for free.
Yeah.
Because I was on a salary and working hours, you know. Yeah. I paid for 40 hours and worked 60, 70, 80. That was the way it was. But I set out, my first chef, Ben Convery, was actually smart in saying, look, you can finish chef school, go work in a hotel, go work in a pub, and you'll top out at $70,000 a year. And that's you know, whatever. And this was a day when I was asking what all these things on the wall. It's like, you don't know. that's a top 50 award, that's a Beef and Lamb award, that's a, showing me a wall full of awards. Wow, set me off. And he said, look, or you can take 10 years and you work at the very best places you can get your foot into, and you're going to be paid like shit, you're going to be treated like shit, but you're going to learn a lot like a sponge. And you take it up, and after those 10 years, you'll come out into the industry, and without a doubt, you'll always get paid over six figures. And it's true. It was like doing your degree as a doctor or passing the bar as a lawyer. When you pass the bar as a lawyer, you come out and get paid $50,000 a year for the first few years. It's long studies. It costs a lot. You don't get paid much. But then at the end, there you are on top of the world. A few traumas and scars, but hey.
Yeah.
That's like my view on that side of things. But,
well, yes, that's right.
Yeah, to go back to it, I left the Star and went to a place called Flying Fish in Sydney, which was just around the corner. And it was, there's now a place called Sala in its place, and they moved Flying Fish into the casino. I was there with my friend who was there is now the executive, Adam Hall, and they've moved it into the casino. Still beautiful. But that was, inspiring because I stepped into this kitchen that had a big, Peter Kuravita was the celebrity chef, and then the head chef was Stephen Seckold, who was 28, running a kitchen of 20 staff, and was just hell-bent on getting second hat back. And we really pushed, and we really became a team, camaraderie. Of course, there was a bit of, sabotage here and there from people as what happens in the industry, but overall it was a great experience. We worked bloody hard, didn't get paid a hell of a lot. Some days I was there from 7 a.m. till 1 a.m. Whilst having a baby daughter. But it was great. It was all open. You could see the ocean, the sun was on you, unlike the casino where there's no windows and no clocks. I loved Flying Fish because I learned high velocity cooking at an extremely high level, but how a team runs cohesively together, and really got a taste for the league that was above New Zealand, because now I think we've equalised a bit, but then it was the level of food was more advanced. In New Zealand we had Sid Sarawat, we had Michael Meredith, we had Des Harris. They were pushing, but by and large the industry was behind what Australia was doing. And I was at Flying Fish for a year and a half, and that was great. When I left there, Larissa, my partner then, Tiger Lily's mother, she really wanted to move to Wanaka. We had been for a ski holiday, and she said, this is the place. I said, okay, I liked it too. The deal was we do 2 years for my career in Sydney, and then we go where you want to go for the next 2 years. Hers was Wanaka. So we made plans, and what we found was basically no jobs in Wanaka at the time. So we settled on Queenstown. Got to Queenstown. I worked with Josh Emmett at Rata for about a year. I'm not going to comment on my time there. And then I went and worked for the Rees Group. So I worked at Sasso with Sal Grant, who's an iconic kind of Italian chef here. And at the Rees Hotel, I bounced between the two. That was my introduction to what working in a hotel was like. And it wasn't for me, working in a hotel. It is for some people. It wasn't for me. The food at the Rees was really cool, very molecular kind of food. And the food at Sasso was very classical Italian, good, hearty stuff. But I just got sick of working at a hotel. I didn't like finishing a night shift at midnight and then having to be back there at 5 in the morning, so I'd have to wake up at 3 in the morning to be back at work again for the breakfast shift the next day, and that would happen twice a week.
You're right.
So basically, I go 48 to 72 hours with no sleep, and it just started ringing me out. So I resigned, and I headed to Matakoti Lodge with John O'Rogers, just outside of Queenstown. And that was just the next level of cooking. We would have 30 guests at a time. While we were there, we got Condé Nast and Gourmet Traveller top 10 in the world lodge restaurants. We were awarded Relais and Chateau, which is some say is above Michelin. I don't know, can't comment too much, but it's a very high accolade. But it was intense. No guest we had a 5-course menu and an a la carte menu. No guest was allowed to see the same ingredient twice during their stay. So you can imagine if you have 14, 15 sets of guests staying at one time, we could run up to 9 menus in a night with only a team of 4 or 5 upholding what would be a 2 or 3 Michelin star standard.
That's crazy.
That was crazy. I'm actually going back 1st of February to help Jono out for a couple of weeks. And Jono is an amazing friend, a very intense chef. Back then, I know he's calmed down a lot now, but he was a very intense chef. As was I, as was our friend Toshi, and we were the 3 musketeers, and we churned through staff, and we were the 3 that stayed. I was there for a year and a half, but it was hard. You know, you're there 5-6 days a week. You're not allowed to. You're changing the menu completely every day, running multiple menus, helping everyone out to extremely high standard, and I burnt out. I just completely burnt out. I got found in a golf buggy shaking uncontrollably, and I had had a mental breakdown, unknown at the time. So Jono said, I really don't want to let you go. It's the best team I've had. Like, please, man. And I said, look, I'm dying here. I love you, but this is too hard. So he tapered me down 4 days, 3 days, 2 days. And by the end, I was working 1 day a week and helping Sasso out another day a week. I come in one day, I said, Jono, what am I doing here? I come in and make ginger chili sauce for a few hours because apparently I make it the best and chop some other stuff. But what use am I for 1 day a week? He said, honestly, bro, I just like hanging out with you.
Oh. Yeah.
So that was, Matakari Lodge. Then I decided cooking wasn't for me anymore. And I stopped cooking. I went on a spiritual journey and said, I'm just going to see if the universe can take care of me. And I full-heartedly believed in that. I have a strong belief in God or the universe, not a set religion, but that there is a greater force than us out there, and that we can depend on it in hard times. So, yeah, I done that. And then one day I got this thought. You know, I was helping out at a friend's restaurant a couple of days a week, just casually, back at Sasso, just casually, so not serious. I got a flatmate to help pay the mortgage. Larissa was working part-time and studying business law and accounting. And we got by. And then one day I made a chili sauce. People came over and tried it. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I think it's pretty good, eh? So I started getting a Mexican restaurant would give me all their old hot sauce bottles, and I would fill it up and sell it on Facebook. $5 a bottle, I'll deliver it anywhere in Queenstown on a Tuesday. And it just went nuts to the point that a policeman knocked on my door. And he said, I'm here for a warrant to search your property. I said, oh, crap. Because, no, I don't want you going in there. So I told him, I'm selling hot sauce. And he goes, you're the hot sauce guy. I'm the hot sauce guy. He goes, well, I'm not going to search your house because you're the hot sauce guy, because cars have been coming and going all the time up my driveway. The neighbours are cool. Oh. And so I gave him a bottle of hot sauce, and he went on his way. And I get a letter from the council saying, we believe you're doing blah, blah, blah. And Queenstown Council really was into commerce growth back then. And they took my hand, held my hand, and walked me through the process. And I got a part-time kitchen where a cafe would finish in the day, and I'd go and cook my hot sauce at night. And the hot sauce company, Frankton Heat, was born. And I ran it. It done very well. It won a lot of awards. I got to continue my journey as a full-time father and my spiritual journey to delve within and calm down. And because before that, I had become your typical angry sous chef who could annihilate someone's entire life with a few words. You become quite good at it after being around it for a decade. So I done that, and then after a couple of years and a trip to the Peruvian jungle and back, I decided and saw in my mind's eye that yes, I'll be a chef, and we'll move to Wanaka and it will work out. So we bought a property just outside of Wanaka for a good price. We built a home on it, and I tried consulting for a while and didn't seem to be very good at that. So then I got a job as sous chef at Bistro Gentil, who had just got their first hat. And there was Mario Rodriguez. And he was calm, very firm, but calm, had a well-oiled machine. His kitchen ran well. He never yelled at anyone. The staff were happy there. And I just got the bug again and loved it. 6 months in, and he moves me up to head chef. He goes to executive chef. I start writing parts of the menu, and I really fell in love with it again. I didn't know I would. I turned up there telling him, look, I'm a skilled worker. I'm here to work. I'm not passionate. I don't have a love for the industry anymore, but I'm good at this, and I can guarantee you, because you're paying me, that I will do my job to the best of my abilities. And he liked that. He really was like, cool, that's all good. I understand workers work because they need money and they do a good job. But I fell in love again. They had an awesome organic garden out the back, and we had a gardener. It was really great. 6 months in, I kind of got the Napoleon Hill Think and Grow Rich thing going on. Just think about it and it will happen. And I start telling people, I'm going to open my own restaurant. It's going to be all organic. It's going to be all wild meat. It's going to be all hand-caught fish. We're not going to use single-use plastics. We're going to change the way the industry views food. And if a restaurant had to be sustainable, that this would be the epitome of that. This would be the prime example. And then family got together, investors got together, and the money came, and then the old Botswana butchery site popped up for lease. So we took it, we bought it, we took it, we built Ode. I didn't have a 100% plan of what I was doing, but I had a good idea.
What year was that?
And that was 2017.
Yep.
And I said, I'm just doing set menu. I want to go for hats. I want to make a mark on the industry. And we opened, and no one came.
Oh, no.
We're a restaurant in a tourist town in a secret location. I had no idea about restaurant marketing. I had no idea about proper restaurant business. I was just a good chef. Some business stuff Larissa could handle. First 3 months were tough. We're in a South Island town where people want a la carte. People don't want to take on this new idea. Most people thought when we said organic that meant vegan.
Right.
So we taxed, and after 3 months I was pretty much bankrupt, and I called Anna Craig from Fever Pitch Media, which is now One Media, and she said, I'm on my way, and she walked in the door like this glowing angel. I swear there was just an aura around this beautiful woman who walked in the room, and she sat down and said, look, let me pop the hood on this. She opens Facebook. She's like, oh, that's why that's not working. Opens my Instagram. Oh, yep, we'll connect these. We'll get it going. Gives me a media plan. We start organizing photographers, and we start getting going. Within a week, sales are up 30%. Wow, she's an angel. And then it started just kind of plateauing there. I said, look, I'm kind of starting to break even, but we're not making money. And she said, because then I said, I don't want my name on it. I don't want my face anywhere near it. I don't want the publicity or the fame. I just want the food to speak for itself. I want Ode to be a team thing. And she gently put her hand on the table one day, which is her equivalent of yelling,
Yeah.
and said, look, we need to sell the chef. We need to sell you. We need to put a face to the business so people can accustom themselves to who you are and connect the face to everything. We either sell the chef or you find someone else to do the marketing. And then I felt it. I said, okay, let's do it. And then the cameras came, and then the photos, and that all went out. We started telling the chef, and I had to hold up my end, which was go live every day on Instagram, going foraging, because foraging was a big thing at Ode.
Yeah.
And going to farms and producers and giving shots of what's happening in service. And we'd do great things, like I'd be in service and there'd be 12 dockets up and, I don't know, 20 people dying, but it's going crazy, Ode's full, wow, look at everything happening, plating up. Really, the restaurant's half full, but hey, we had to create hype.
Yeah.
Some days it was full and it was going crazy, but people just loved seeing, like, wow, I saw it, so I had to come in the next day and it worked. Or me foraging for apples on the side of the road and people are like, wow, I stopped at the same tree and took home a kilo of apples. It's delicious. And that went well. So. And
was it easy? The whole sustainability thing and single use plastic. I feel that would still be quite a hard thing to do because of suppliers and different things as well. How easy was it for you to do that?
Extremely difficult.
Yeah.
In the beginning, our food costs were really high. We were using organic stores. Evidently, organic farmers at the time could barely even send a text message or even had a cell phone because they're organic farmers.
Yeah.
So that was hard. I'd have to drive out there and meet, and I met Paul Kumarau and his wife. They had a garden out Hawea, 15 minutes away. And I met Lorne Knight. He had another garden in Hawea. And then it just started coming together. We started getting more and more local suppliers. By the end, we had 3 or 4 local farms contracted to us that would basically buy everything they grew. Meats, we started off organic and ended up just wild, just using wild meat. Fish was one where you kind of go down the conspiracy hole and find out that everything sustainable is a lie. Basically, Nate from Gravity Fishing, doing his jig lining, it's the apex, and Tim from Spear Court, he does spear fishing, and then a few hand harvesting people that do shellfish and stuff were our only options. So in the beginning it was extremely difficult, but as time went by, we got known and we reached out, and more organic becomes a normalized thing, and it got better and better. And by the end of it, in peak season, 90% of our produce came from within 50 kilometers or 100 kilometers. It was all wild shot meat. It was all hand harvested. We used no glad wrap, no plastic gloves, no piping bags, no sous vide. We actually started filling the sous vide with beef fat and then putting the meat in there, so we didn't even need a bag.
Wow.
You just sear it, send it, good to go. We called it the fat vide. You clear it, cleanse it every day, and then use it for deep frying at the end of the week.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really, really, really cool system. Very symbiotic at the end of it. But yeah, we were in our first year. Chef Nico was with me, my amazing sous chef for my first year. Pumped through front of house as the tourist town is. And a year in, we get a review in Cuisine magazine praising us, new young chef with a deft hand, and we got a hatted review, half a point off 2 hats for our first review. And then in the mail comes a letter. We've been invited to the Cuisine Good Food Awards. Wow, okay. We know we're in for an award now. That was Thursday. Friday night, Kelly Brett from Cuisine comes in to dine. Wow, Kelly Brett's here to dine. We know Kerry Tyak's been to dine once. That means we're in for an extra award. We pretty much know we're going to get hatted at this point if it goes well. We're on cloud 9. We go into a Saturday service. It's fully booked. The website's crashed. The phone lines have gone bonkers. We're fully booked for the next 5 weeks. We're getting calls of congratulations. It's amazing. We've got a hat. It's finally, after a year of struggle and hardship, it's happening. And on Saturday, we were all exhausted. So we go get the dryer out of the laundry, the tea towels out of the laundromat next door. Usually would fold them and put them away. This time we're exhausted. I've worked hard enough this weekend, just throw them in the laundry bag and put it under the bar. And I wake up Sunday morning, my daughter runs in the room with the phone. Yeah, Dad, it's Kevin King. That's our landlord. Amazing, amazing man. I said, Lucas, I think it's going to be congratulations. I said, hey, Kevin. He says, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. What's going on? He said, Ode has burnt down last night. And that was it. One day up, one day down.
Oh, I'm getting shivers just hearing you say that. I can't even begin to imagine what you would have felt in that moment. And what an extraordinary cause. I mean, because I did read that about the tea towels, and I was saying to my partner, Charlie, how is that even possible? And he went, no, definitely that kind of combustion can happen from, just their well, I don't really understand it, but it's pretty specific, isn't it?
Moisture and oil with spontaneous combustion because of the electricity of spinning your clothes in a
I see. Right.
combusted room. But if you fold them, then it releases all of the electricity.
I see. Wow.
It's the static.
Yeah, wow.
I walked into Ode. It was just the most surreal feeling of my life outside of seeing my daughter being born, but this was the other side where it was like, this is shit instead of this is amazing. It was extremely surreal. I cried all day, cried all night, just couldn't fucking believe it. And then I had friends calling, asking if I'd done an insurance job, which made it feel way worse.
Absolutely.
From my closest people,
wow.
They're asking me if I'm trying to get a free rebuild. Fuck, man.
Yeah.
We're on cloud 9 here. Why would you burn your own restaurant down when you're fully booked for the rest of the year, when you finally made it? Yeah, it was fucking surreal. Really difficult.
Yeah.
And then a few days in, I was like, wow, I've just been through something big. The media eye is on me. I've become one of the best chefs in the country. Been invited to the awards. I know I'm in the top 100. I know I've been hatted. Evidently, the hat was taken back, but we still got to stay in top 100 and still got awarded the one to watch. So a few days later, I said, fuck it, I'm going to go on tour. So I'd been to watch Kendrick Lamar a couple months earlier. I was like, wow, the way artists tour is really cool. I'd love to do that as a chef one day. And then that just hit me. I said, I'm going to do a tour, bottom of the South Island, top of the North Island, to promote organics and keep my spirit alive. And I reached out on Instagram, and a bunch of other top 100 restaurants came forward, and 2 weeks later I was on the road for a 5-week tour at 11 different restaurants, finishing with a private dinner at Clooney.
Wow.
And that was amazing. It's like I felt the industry accepted me. I got taken under the wing by the biggest names, Chef of the Year, Restaurant of the Year, 3 headers, 2 headers, 1 headers. It was extremely good for my spirit. It was hard. What musicians and artists go through touring, that is an extremely difficult life. It's not easy. It's not easy, but it was amazing. But then after the tour, the lights went out, the cameras turned off, and it was just left with me and my thoughts, and a massive insurance battle with an insurance company that was just giving us hell by the day, trying to not pay for things, etc. You know how it goes. My relationship deteriorated, and I slipped into a pretty deep depression.
Yeah.
A year passed by, and finally we get to reopen. 1 day off a year. 1 day off indemnity period where we just have to take a check and walk away. We reopened. I decided I will do all-day dining. I believe that we're walking magnets. The energy we're putting out is kind of what will reciprocate and bring back into our life. And I was in a bad way. I was smoking, drinking, just trying to keep my head up. Too much time off, too much thought, and I built a by and large toxic team. I hired someone who I thought was a close friend of mine, who ended up really screwing me over. Yeah, I won't go too far into that, but
how did you find your way out of that?
Okay.
How did you find your way through that?
Well, through difficulty, really. There was no easy way out. All-day dining didn't work. Breakfast, the cafe was losing money. After 3 months, I said, stuff this. We're just going back to nighttime dining. Nighttime was doing great, but we were understaffed, overworked. Well, yeah, about 3 months then, Chef Jack Foster turns up. Says, I'll take any position you've got. So my commis chef's not working out, and he's been demoted to kitchen hand, who's still a great friend of mine today. And he's an amazing man. But Jack, that was Nicholas, but this Jack Foster came and he just put his head down and came in. My head chef at the time said, I've got a bad feeling about this guy. And I thought about it, and I think your bad feeling is that he's going to show you up. And he did, tenfold. Yeah, during a charity event one day, the head chef just says, I don't want to do this, and walks out on us. His girlfriend was the manager. They walked out on us on the same day. Tried to send lawyers after us, all of this crazy stuff, which we got through. But Jack was like a rock during that time. He just took it on, and instantly up to sous chef, me and him doing 40 covers, doing 8-course dinners. That's a lot of dishes to go out in 3 hours. He was there early every day with me. He was there late every day with me. He was prepping after service with me. He never complained once. But he was staunch and forthcoming, and would tell me if something was working, would tell me if I was sending mixed messages, and it was really good for me. And we became great friends and great workmates. He is a large part of how we got through it, how I got through it. He came from a family with strong morals, strong connections. He knew who he was in himself, and that was a great example for me to have around. At the same time, I had a culinary skill that he wanted, and I said, look, forget everything you know. Everything here is different. Just forget it all and learn again. I swear he almost quit on the spot when I said that. Apparently went and talked to his parents and his grandparents about it, and they said, maybe there's something to learn there. Hang in there just for a little while longer, and he did. And he learned a lot. And then not long in, I said, hey, put a dish on the menu. Put a dish on the menu. It was beautiful. Asparagus and confit egg yolk dish. He helped us through. So from there on, it started going really well. We just had a 9-month run where it was just epic. We got our hat back. We made it into the top 50. We started winning awards in other divisions. The workplace was healthy. The people who worked there enjoyed working there. My life became better, and everything was going really well. We were making money. We were popular. I had a good relationship. And then lockdown.
Yeah.
Lockdown came a couple months after we got our hat back.
Yeah.
That sucked. But I called it like a few days before the dictator locked our country down. I said, look, this is crazy. I don't know if this is a media hoax. I don't know if this is real, but I'm fucking anxious. And if someone comes in here coughing and spluttering, everyone gets anxious, and the workplace environment feels horrible. I'm going to shut it down because the rest of the world is locking down. I reckon in 2 weeks, our streets are going to be empty. They're going to lock everyone in their homes, and that's what's going to happen. Everyone told me I'm crazy. I'm a conspiracy theorist, blah, blah, blah. I said, whatever. I know how to read the world. It's not that hard. And then a week later, she locked it down. The streets are empty. We're all locked in our houses. So we did have a run, a week where I was just selling everything out. And I thought, maybe we'll get locked down for a month. Maybe we'll go to Sweden or the Japan route, and we'll keep commerce going and rely on science, where we've learned that you've just got to push through it and you build an immunity, et cetera, et cetera. But it turned into an almost 4-month lockdown, and we were losing 30 grand a week. Yeah. Which was extremely stressful. The time off was great. It really was. Family time was great. But losing 30 grand a week was extremely stressful. So we came back out. I didn't have enough money to reopen Ode. I didn't have money to pay my staff. I told everyone that. I said, look, it's apple season. There's apple trees everywhere. We've got a great community around us. We're not going to do the takeaway thing. We decided no, because Wanaka had enough establishments to feed 100,000 people a day, and there's only 8,000 locals. So we thought, nah, that's just a waste of our very limited resources. So right at the end, they said, we're going to do apple crumble. So I'd done a post one night. Pretty much lockdown had ended. People were allowed to do takeaways. Takeaways was ending, and people were allowed to open up for just commerce again under whatever fucking life thing that was. In my mind, we were allowed to go back to living our lives again. That's all that mattered. So we're going to do apple crumble. Put the word out saying, can anyone donate us apples, or if you have an apple tree, we'll come and pick it. If anyone has any flour, sugar, or oats or butter, please donate. We would love it. Support Ode, help us get open again. And then I put out a post saying, apple crumble, $10, feeds 4 people, free delivery, crazy enough, free delivery anywhere in Wanaka. That was about 8 p.m. I woke up the next day to heaps of missed calls from my manager at the time. I called, she says, what did you do? I said, oh, it's crumbles. We'll sell a few hundred of them. She's like, we're up to 890 and counting. 891, 897, fucking 900. Turn the thing off. Shit. And then there was just my inbox full of, we've got apples, we've got apple trees, we've dropped off 20 kilos of flour to your door, we're dropping off sugar today, there's a box of butter you're coming your way. We got donated everything. We done 3 weeks of crumble. It went viral. It hit the viral on Instagram. We had celebrities from Canada buying crumbles to pay forward to the frontline workers.
Wow.
It really, really just went nuts. I can't remember exactly how much, but we done it for 3 weekends, and we sold something like 3-point something tons of crumble.
Wow.
Delivered.
Yeah.
We downloaded the same app Domino's uses for delivery, because the first delivery day was so haphazard. I was like, we need a better system. How does Domino's do it? We studied it. We downloaded their app, used the free trial for a month thing, and that helped a lot. We had all the staff cars, all of our staff cars packed to the roof of crumbles. We had all the chefs in the kitchen just chopping apples, roasting apples, covering it in crumble. It was insane. 3 tons of crumble. And then at the end of it, I was, we've got enough money to open on the sniff. And then we hit up our hunters from Fair Game. I said, look, anything you can give us a cheap deal on, we want to do a rib night to fundraise. They said, no, you're cool. We will provide all of the ribs on the house. We just want to see you open again because we love what you do and you're a great customer. Cool. So Fair Game sent us, I can't remember how much, a lot of venison ribs. We done a rib night fundraiser. That made an extra 7, 8 something grand. And then we had enough money to stock the restaurant and reopen. It was all from the love of community. That really felt amazing. Reopening to that, we decided to put on a la carte so the locals would like it more because we had no more international trade. We decided to simplify a bit, be more casual while still holding a high standard. And that went well. You know, that was all good. Pumping, things were going well. We're only open 3 nights a week, which was great. And then lockdown came again. We lost all the money again. That bloody sucked. So I said, we tried to reopen. It didn't work. I said, this is it. Ode's over. Sorry, everyone. The restaurant's closing unless we can find investors. But I said that 3 weeks out from closing, and we just got so much overwhelming support. People coming in, buying the most expensive bottles, buying as much food as they can. We had customers coming in and just giving us envelopes full of cash to be like, just keep the fucking place open.
Wow.
Please. We want you here. And we got pumping again. And that was amazing. I built the strongest team I've ever had. By the end of it, the last 3-4 months, my family had moved to Auckland. So I let Jack take over as head chef. I became executive. Jacko took over a majority of the menu, of which I taught him a lot of what he knew. People loved it. A lot of people said, it's not going to be the same without you. It won't work. Lies. It made more money than it ever made. We had more 5-star reviews than I'd ever seen in my life. It was amazing. My team was so good. We had Lucy Creston over out the front. We had Elliot Hawkins on the bar. We had Jack Foster and his team in the kitchen. And I could come up and down, check on things. If we wanted to make a change, we'd just talk about it. And the symbiosis was amazing. The place made a lot of money. And then a friend in politics calls and says, "It's not over, man." "What do you mean, my tweeting little bird?" He said, "Look, you guys are going to have another lockdown." I said, but if I say this, everyone will think I'm a conspiracy theorist again. He goes, "Well, what have I told you before? When did I tell you to buy a house? When did I tell you to stock things up?" He was right every time. He said, "It's not over. It's going to happen again." I said, "Oh, shit." That stressed me out. It really stressed me out. Started having problems, liver problems. My mental state was degrading, just being under the anxiety, knowing at any moment they can just turn it off. And that this lockdown was going to be the harshest one of all, even though we know this disease, 99.9 something % of people survive it. So it's really going to not make sense and really mess with people's minds. I knew it was coming, and my health just degraded. So I went in and I told the team, "Look, I'm going to sell Ode. I can't do this anymore. It's going really well. We've got our hats. We make money. Let's finish on a high. If we go through another lockdown and it's harsher and there's less support, I'm not going to make it. We're going to lose it all. And I'm going to be, up to my neck in debt. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle that." So we put it up for sale. Pretty quickly, someone made an offer. We bartered back and forth. I kept the IP for Ode. They started their new restaurant there. I helped them get it going. And we sold Ode. And that was the end of Ode. 2 weeks before our handover date to the new owners, she called lockdown. And that was our longest and harshest and most confusing lockdown yet. Let's lock down the whole South Island, even though no one's got COVID. Let's lock down the whole North Island. Let's lock Auckland inside Auckland. Yeah. But hey, 99.9% of people survive this, so you better be scared. Crazy stuff. Now, looking back, I think I made the right decision. I wouldn't have coped mentally or physically going through another lockdown, having a restaurant that goes backwards 30 grand a week. But yeah, just in those 2 weeks, she called lockdown. We had to shut it down. And those 2 weeks cost $100,000. And that was basically all our savings, our nest egg at the time. That was the end of it. We had a fully stocked restaurant for our last 2 weeks. They were our 2 highest earning weeks we would have ever had in our history, because everyone was booked on a 5-course executive menu. Everyone was booked on wine matching or drinks matching, so we knew exactly how much money we were going to make, and it was a substantial amount to get us out and take a year off, enjoy life. So we stocked up 2 weeks before, and the day all of our deliveries arrived, all our wine arrived, all our food arrived, pretty much everything except the little daily garnishes arrived, and she called lockdown that day. So it just goes to show that, the lockdown mentally, economically, it's just really stuffed things up. But we still sold. The deal went through. We got to sell off the food at cost price for takeaway options, just to have a team and have a closing night and have a party together. And we ended it. It came out, the money was gone, but we got our money from the new buyers that paid back all of our debts, paid our staff, and came out just even keel. Start again.
Wow. And so when was that? 21?
That was winter 2021.
Yeah.
September 5th, we closed 2021.
Wow.
And then I was going to take a year off and spend it with my daughter. Her mother took her to Wellington, and they got locked down there, and I got locked down in Auckland. So I didn't get to see my daughter for 4 months. That really fucked me up. But now I'm pretty much full-time father. Her mother runs luxury yoga retreats down in Queenstown and comes up often, and they have a good relationship. And we are mostly good co-parents, mostly get along as much as we can. Just took a year off. That was great. Got into full-time dad, cooking meals at home, getting her ready for school. You know, walking down the driveway with her to school. I'm not allowed to walk all the way to school because that's not cool. Dad! It was a great year. And then a few months ago, I decided that I'd like to open up again. So I talked to the banks, and they said, no, we're not giving you any money. You haven't made any money. Oh, shit, what am I going to do? They said, look, you still own the company. You need to start putting money through the company. And then once you show you're making good money, then we can finance you. So I started freelancing a couple months ago, and I've been bouncing around New Zealand when I have the time, and around Auckland doing freelance work, which is great money. You actually get paid by the hour.
So what does that mean though, as a freelance chef? So not just a private chef, or is it that?
I do private work as well, but that is doing private gigs is a large undertaking. It's like opening a new restaurant every time you go to work.
Because you
freelancing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was going to say, you need all the do you need all the crockery and stuff, or can you use people's in their home?
I've got it.
Oh,
so
okay.
When we bartered over Ode, they said, we want to give you this amount. I said, okay. Oh, I'm going to take the Parko jet. I said, okay, we'll keep that offer. And I said, I want to keep the Thermomix. I said, but we want this price. I'm going to keep all of my custom-made Ode crockery. Okay. Oh, well, I'm going to keep some of the equipment, frying pans, shelves, a bunch of stuff. I've got everything to start a small restaurant.
Okay.
Out of my garage.
Wow.
So we eventually came to a good agreement that was fair for both of us. Got me out of debt, and I was really banking on that last, $150,000 to give us a year off and travel and whatnot. But that fell through. But we got out of debt, and that was a great feeling. Yeah. I owe no money to no one at the moment.
And so this freelancing gig.
Freelancing is you're basically a bounty hunter. I went out saying I'm going to do consulting. What we have is this paradox in the industry in New Zealand right now. I can't speak for anywhere else in the world because I'm not there. But in New Zealand, we have had a massive cull of the industry where in the last 2.5 years, 70% of our hospitality industry has closed permanently. A few restaurants have filled the spots, but by and large, there's a lot less restaurants. Over 90% of our tourism industry has closed permanently. That was our largest earner in industry in New Zealand, and that collapsed. Slowly making its way back, but it's rough. When you get into the statistics of what lockdown's done, it's so ugly that it's hard to talk about. But here we are. So being freelance, I set out to be a consultant. No one really needed a consultant because everyone who was left were well-oiled machines that are going hard and making money, but they're buckling at the knees because of staff shortages. I call around the world, every country, every industry, can't find staff. Where's all the humans gone? What's happening to them? Who knows, but this is where we are.
Yeah.
So I tacked back and people started asking me, can you just come in and help us? We need skilled hands. I said, sure, but consulting wages are quite high. It's renegotiated, so we renegotiated a better price for them. And then that was November, and I've just got a big list of people who need help. It's basically the restaurant industry buckling at the knees from staff shortage and people who got locked up for too long, who just want to get out as often and as much as possible to enjoy the luxuries and pleasures of life, and dining and drinking in New Zealand is one of those. So that's what I've been doing. I walk into a restaurant with my uniform and my knife, and I just do whatever they need, whether it's filling in for the head chef, whether it's chopping garnish, anything really. I'm skilled. I get paid handsomely for it, and my company started making money, and the next step is opening my next place up again.
And that would be in Auckland or area?
It will be in Auckland. Yeah. However, I've studied the world economy. I studied Japan because I thought, wow, they've been through huge inflation, massive crashes, world wars, but they've held the highest end of dining for hundreds of years. Japanese cuisine is simple, it's beautiful, it's very well done. We all know Japanese cuisine is amazing. Look at sushi, it took over the world. So I studied their economy, and I studied their hospitality economy and how they've made it through. You have to imagine that 1 yen used to be equivalent to $1 American. Now it's, a few hundred yen for a chocolate bar or something, a block of chocolate. Maybe not 90 or so, but the inflation rate changed so dramatically. So I looked how they done it, and how they preserved their culinary culture was through small restaurants, usually less than 10 seats, with 1 to 2 people working in them. And that way, they could always adjust to inflation and adjust to the market.
Yeah.
They're always short-staffed, which is their thing, what they do. Post-war, it's not a lot of workers. During a recession, there's an overload. That's when they can make bigger places. And I really studied hard what it is they're doing there. And I decided, well, I'm healthy, I'm young, there's staff shortages, I'm going to open an 8-seater. I love cooking. I love customers. I love the connection between us. We had an open kitchen at Ode, the chef's table, and I really loved that. And I decided that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open an 8-seat restaurant where it's just me and the customers.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Will it be, is it sort of omakase style but Western food, and that will it be a set menu or?
In my mind, I imagine it'll be a set menu. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be based around how service is run in these small Japanese places. However, with the knowledge and style that I have as a chef and as a person. So that's where I'm aiming to go. And while I'm freelancing, I'm saving up my money and trying to get enough leverage that I can step in and do that again. Watching that restaurant Chai in Melbourne, CHAE.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was hugely inspiring. That, wow, they got a hat out of an apartment. That's really something. And then that built up, and now they've got their own epic little place out in the forest. And
yeah, it's pretty amazing, that story, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, wow, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you. I feel like, so what would be, obviously you've had to learn some hard lessons, but the things that happened to you that were really beyond your control. So it's not really about asking what would you have done differently, because I don't think, that's not really the question. But what do you take from all of this? Obviously you still want to cook, which is amazing. What's your take from this roller coaster experience?
Personally, what I've learned is that the bigger the highs, the bigger the lows. And that sometimes you need to even that out a bit. Not focus so much on the highs being so high. If you win a hat, that's amazing and that's great, and congratulate yourself. So evening that out a bit. Also, after taking a year off, learning that having your daily purpose is an important thing. And without it, whether you're a full-time parent that has to look after multiple children and care for the home and make sure that's running well, that is a purpose. Whether you're the mother or father on the side that has to go out and work every day and bring home the money and make sure things are paid for, then that's the purpose. But having a purpose that fills your day is a really important thing for a human being. And being just full-time father this past year and being a chef, so I work fast, I found myself with too much idle time. And then I started overthinking. And after a while of it, it starts as meditation and ends as looping thoughts and overthinking.
Yeah.
And reading a lot of books on financial education. We are not taught financial education whatsoever in our school system. No, basically a majority of our country or the Western world has no idea about how money works, how finance works, how financial education works, how stocks and bonds work, how gold and silver works, how the rich stay rich, how people finance themselves, how people get ahead. But learning and reading many, many books about these people, their autobiographies, their books on financial education, you come to find that they might be a billionaire, but they still go to work every single day because they love what they do and they need that daily purpose. And they could get many more billions. They're not going to stop, and they're not doing it because they're greedy, but a lot of them are not doing it because they're greedy. They're doing it because they enjoy what they do and they love their daily purpose. And even though they could be 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, they don't want to stop, because when you sit around doing nothing all day, you get bored and you go a bit crazy. So that's what I take from it. Even out the highs and the lows, and don't put too much emphasis. Congratulate yourself, but don't have too much emphasis on the highs and the lows. And to have your daily purpose. And I found that I didn't get into this industry to get rich. I fell into this industry because I stumbled into it, and I stumbled into it and fell in love. And I fell in love with it for the love of it, not for the money of it. Obviously, being paid is great. We all love money. It's a good thing if we've got enough of it. The more money you have, the more you can help the world around you if you're that way attuned. Something I like to do. I like to do charity work. I like to help people. But the main thing was the daily purpose. And this is a daily purpose that I love. Do I love running a 400-seat restaurant? Not really. Do I love running a 30-seat restaurant? Yeah, it was a good experience, and I thought that's exactly what I wanted. But then after doing some small dinners and having this intimacy with the customer and the full experience of being able to speak to them and explain every little thing, and you're fully engaged with each other as guest and as chef, it's just this amazing feeling. And I want to hone in on that. People say, well, what if you get sick? Oh, well, I close the restaurant for a night. It's fine.
Yeah.
What if you want a Saturday off? Same thing. I close the restaurant for a night. It's fine. It's only 8 people. In the West, we have the saying, no man is an island. In Japan, they have a saying, every man is his own island.
Yeah.
In the West, we say there are opportunities and crisis. In Japan, opportunity and crisis are the same word.
Wow.
So it's all about how we see things. The older I get and the more hardship I go through, the more I learn that perception is almost everything. How we perceive it and how we get through it. And that having our daily purpose, learning about financial education, and also finding gratitude and love in the world is something we need. It's not to say I'm a perfect person. I still get in bad moods. I still get angry. I can still have a grump at my daughter or my family members or my friends or become upset at things in the world that I can't control. But these are natural human emotions, and especially for someone of my mindset, being through trauma, of having PTSD, of growing up in a rough neighborhood. I'm not going to be this super calm monk that I was once portrayed through media and somewhat. That's part of who I am. There is a very calm side to me. There is a very loving and grateful side of me. There's also the evil and the devil and a very tough and rigid person. But as I get older, I learn that that's something that we should have. We should know how to use. But it's most important that we learn how to control that. And that's what I'm going through, is learning how to control all of that. The older I get, the more I learn how to control that. I think it's been great as well, getting into martial arts with my daughter. Started off, I wanted her to be able to defend herself, so we enrolled her at Jiu-Jitsu and MMA down at Oliver Gym here in Auckland in New Lynn. And I'd go and watch her train. And then afterwards, the advance would come on, notice, wow, there's a man in there who's 70 years old, and he's rolling, and he's doing it. I'm sitting here on the sidelines watching, 33, 34 years old, I've just turned 35, thinking, I'm too old to learn, blah, 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 whatever. Oh, jumped in there. I got in there about 9 months ago, and it's pretty much changed me. Feels great to exercise. When you've got demons in you, you need to exercise them. It's the same word.
Yeah.
So martial arts has been a great thing to help me as well, because it teaches someone that you are very dangerous. You can be very violent, but at the same time, you're so extremely controlled that you know what to do with it. I agree with what Jordan Peterson will say on, we need to be able to be dangerous, but we need to be able to control it. There's no use in being a weak man or a weak woman and then losing control. That's when we see the worst of things happen. That's when we see these school shootings. That's when we see these crazy fights of people swinging around on Facebook and Instagram, and that's violence and danger uncontrolled. But then when you go to a jiu-jitsu tournament or an MMA fight, you see, wow, that's very rough. People can get hurt and broken, but it's so extremely controlled. And that's where I think people learn that, and that's part of what I've taken away from all of these hardships and massive highs and massive lows, is that we just have to sit with our dark side, learn about it, and then learn how to control it. And then a better day comes.
Yeah. Look, Lucas, thank you so much. I feel like you've been so open and honest and shared so much. That's an incredible story, and incredible what how you've worked through this for yourself as well. So thank you. I'm really glad you got in touch with me.
I've been following and listening and reading to what you do for a while now, and I really liked it. And then I just having a beer the other night, I thought, maybe you should be interested in my story.
I absolutely am, and I can't wait to see what you do next. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Conversation with a Chef with Lucas Parkinson. You can check out his food on Instagram at Luc_Soul, that's LUC_Soul, and also at Ode_Hospitality. And if you liked what you heard, I'm on Instagram also at Conversation with a Chef, and you can read the chat at www.conversationwithachef.com. I would love it if you told a friend about my chats, and of course you can follow me on Apple and Spotify podcasts. Once again, thanks for listening and have a great day.